Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, and welcome to Vivit's presentation, Enabling the Shift Towards Agile and DevOps Capabilities. The webinar will last 1 hour today, and it's my pleasure to welcome Vivit members to our Post-Discovery Summit series, which you can see here on our introductory page. And there's a link to these the events in this webinar series at the bottom. This webinar series is brought to you by Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. And I'm your host today, Milan Danrell with Machine Data Systems. I'm the Vivit Toronto chapter leader. And it's my privilege and pleasure to introduce Peter Kunstad, who's with Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. He's focusing on EMEA pre-sales, and comes with almost 10 years of experience in testing and test management, and specifically leading groups and teams of testers through the practices and principles that we'll be discussing today. Before we get started and I turn over the microphone to Peter, I want to provide the attendees here with a little bit of orientation to the webinar panels that you see. There's control panels around the perimeter, which you can control the display, the pods that you see on screen. This session is being recorded, so it'll be made available to Vivit members after the presentation is over. To control your view and to get access to both the chat and the questions, simply look for the individual pods around the screen. They are similar to Windows controls. You can minimize or maximize pods and type in your questions, which we will address a little bit later on in the presentation. There's also a control panel for language. So on the left-hand side, you'll see a few controls for raising your hand, asking a question, getting information, and even choosing the language that you would like to ask your questions in. So to do so, you would click the icon and ask your question. So it's my privilege to introduce Peter, who will guide us through the enabling the shifts towards Agile and DevOps capabilities with HP Enterprise. Peter, over to you.
Thank you, Milan. Hello, everyone. Welcome to webinar Enabling Shift Towards Agile and DevOps Capabilities. And this webinar was prepared by Francesco Colavita, my colleague, and me. My name is Petr Kunstad, and I am based in Prague. You can see on the first slide how currently looks Prague street, and it's completely covered by snow. Back to me and to Francesco. We are both pre-sales consultants working really frequently on DevOps workshop for the customer. We deliver many of customer-oriented workshops with these problematic. And today I will be talking mostly, and I will focus mostly about the principle and about methods which HPE and HPE consultants using for DevOps workshops. But the same principles we are using. It's valid also for Agile and shift towards Agile style of development workshops. Before we start, let me summarize the motivation for DevOps adoption. It's something what is maybe the common in these days, but let me just quickly summarize why enterprise companies looking for DevOps approach and methods. What's the benefit? The reason is really simple. The customer know these great results. When we look at these slides, you can have a look if customer and you implement DevOps correctly. You can have time to KPI 5 times better. You can eliminate 90% of wait time or waiting time in your software delivery. And this is the reason, these great results, why customer and people within IT community is still discussing DevOps and how to implement within enterprise scale companies. For being on the same page with you, let's have a look on some typical example that I just try to summarize, just to simplify on that slide. This is the example of software delivery process of a mid-size bank that I try to use for simplification. And you can see that there is a lot of manual work, manual handover task, a lot of problems with siloed teams, some inaccuracy when we are talking about the feedback from business to development. And this is what typically business is seeing, what business is complaining on, the slow time to delivery and slow response from IT. And how we can remove these constraints, how we can speed up software delivery. These are maybe typical tools that everyone who is familiar with DevOps is knows and maybe think about. The first of all, increase automation. I just try to to make it funny that automate everything. It makes no sense to automate everything, but it means automate everything what makes sense, what can make your delivery of new changes in IT faster with more reliability. And the same we can tell about reduce latency. It's more typical to talk about continuous integration, testing, continuous building, new application, continuous delivery and deployment. These terms are really common, as same as increase the visibility. Visibility is something what is maybe more fit to agile style of development, where we introduce the capability of these
Okay, I apologize. It looks like we may have dropped Peter's audio, so please stand by for a moment while Peter reconnects. In the meantime, thank you for starting to put your questions into the Q&A panel. Just go ahead and, while we wait for Peter to reconnect, we will just start collecting some of these questions. We will get those answered a little bit later on after Peter goes through his presentation. But we'll just take a few minutes to gather attendees' questions here as well. While we are waiting, I should make mention that the link that we shared here at the very top of the presentation is accessible now to get visibility to some of the other presentations as part of this webinar series. In fact, at the end of this presentation, we'll have links to two additional ones happening tomorrow that I think will be of interest to the attendees. So I know we have a question here from Christopher. Christopher will have Peter respond to the question of whether this Agile and DevOps method is appropriate for in-house development or outsourcing as well. So we'll get that answered from Peter very shortly. It looks like Peter is just reconnecting, so accept our apologies for the communications issue, but we'll get him going here in just a second.
Yeah, Milan, do you hear me? Can you hear me right now?
Yes, you're back on. Go ahead, Peter.
Okay, sorry for that. I do not know why, but internet connection has trouble. But I am connected right now via my mobile phone. Therefore, I'm not sure whether we stop somewhere in the slide high velocity innovation, somewhere when I try to leverage increase automation, reduce latency, and increase visibility as a key factor for the DevOps adoption. And typical for these tools is to utilize some continuous integration tools like Jenkins in your working environment. And the same between these tools belongs also the continuous assessment, like to automate the measurement and monitor key parameters of your processes, of your software delivery. And on daily basis, listen to feedback from your customer. And this is a right place where you can utilize also the Deming cycle, like plan, do, check, act, and regularly react on the feedback. But this is what I said till now. It's really common. I hope it's really known that what I would like to share with you is our methodology and what we see on the customer side in these days. What is it? How to say? Something what I was surprised when I start to work on that area. That from some research that I'm using here from Gartner, we can see that the blocker for implementation or adoption of DevOps is mostly within people. Not this is not mostly about the technology or missing tools or some mistakes in process. It's mostly about people. And the other situation that I would like to share with you is what are typical situation when we have a chance to talk with customer about DevOps. The first example is that the customer is know about DevOps. Customer knows the benefit of DevOps, but I try to formulate it like the scaring about what this transformation project can bring and maybe can damage. The second group of customer is that they already implemented DevOps, but still did not receive what they expected from DevOps. And the third group is that customer has really well implemented DevOps tools, DevOps processes, but the KPI as a key performance indicators show them that they are not progress anymore. And this is maybe the right place to share with you how we can leverage DevOps, how HPE can help you, and where we typically start. We typically start with, or maybe I will start different way, or I can say differently, that the best situation when we visit the customer is when there is in front of the customer is some new transformation project. You can imagine it like some implementation of or adoption of new CRM tool, because these transformation projects can bring us the the motivation of a customer and big support from directors of business, IT directors, that they can invest a time into the changes of processes that are settled down for traditional software delivery, and to let people to get familiar with new approach like DevOps. And how we are start typically we assess the customer goals, the business KPIs, what they would like to achieve. Then we identify the current maturity level, current maturity model. It's based on the comparison with DevOps model, maturity model. And based on that, we find what are maybe discrepancy, what are differences, and then we motivate the customer to implement standards for automation and continuous integration and other tools that sometimes are implemented already on customer side, but there is no or maybe lack of success in terms of DevOps benefits. And then it's really crucial, I will talk about that later, it's really crucial to measure the impact of these changes when we leverage or maybe change the traditional software delivery to DevOps. We have to be ensured that that is the step forward into fastest delivery, into reliability, into security, and these other aspects. As I mentioned, we are using, we means the HPE company and the team that is oriented and focusing on DevOps workshops. We are using 3 types of, we can call it assessment methodology. The first of all is called journey to value. It's assessment methodology that help us really fast to find what are the main blockers for the DevOps adoption. The second one, it's more deep. We can call it maybe medium deep dive into the knowledge of the customer working environment. It's called Discovery Workshop that helps us help the customer to orient into the situation. What are maybe the blockers that we have to focus on them first to speed up delivery of new changes in IT. And the last one is transformation workshop. It's a workshop that takes typically more than 1 day, and it's going a deep dive. Let me look at into the first type of assessment methodology, journey to value. Journey to value helps us to understand priorities of customer with highest focus to deliver intermediate value. What does it mean? It's not a project that shows you okay, there is a plan for 1, 2, 3 years that you have to follow, and after these 3 years you will get the results and you will be mature enough to say that you are a DevOps company. No, the journey to value, it's mostly focusing on the outcomes that we call quick wins or short term that give to customer immediate the benefit from that. And we start, as you can see on that slide, with typical structure like the agenda, set expectation, look at the point of view on DevOps area, because we found during last 20 years of experience in that area that many of problems are coming that there is a different point of view on DevOps, mainly when we compare point of view from business side to compare to IT side. And then together with customer, we iteratively and interactively set the improvement of capabilities in DevOps. As I mentioned, really frequently we see on the customer side that there is plenty of tools, plenty of technologies that could be used and utilized for DevOps, but it's not being used properly with or for the success of DevOps. And then the last part is that we are focusing on, we call it call for action, or the prioritize activities or actions that leads to journey to value. The second mentioned methodology that we are using for assessment is discovery workshop. This is the proven methodology. Proven means that we use this methodology at least 5 years for the delivery of workshops, and we utilize feedback, we utilize all mistakes and all success that we reach by using this discovery workshop. And we set the panels, 6 panels of the major important part of DevOps adoption. And we go through these 6 panels together with customer to get or to find what are maybe blockers, what are the situation that can be utilized and speed up software delivery right now. It's divided in some area like technology, organization, like people, best practices. We can go through the panel that describing most typical and model of DevOps that we are using for on enterprise level customer. And as I mentioned, the last part that we can offer to customer is transformation workshop. And I forgot to mention that one of the nice tools that I personally love is a tube map model that help us to drive or maybe to draw the process that can be automated as much as possible and to be implemented and adopted by DevOps. And we can draw this process and find by going through this process like method tube, you can stop in every single moment when there is any interaction, team to team or business to customer or other examples, and you can find whether these stop can be automated, whether these interaction can be speed up, and how. And you can see also on that slide that really helpful are when you use stickers for these workshop. Yeah, and the transformation workshop is the most deep analysis that and assessment that what we are doing. We focus this workshop on 3 main parts. The one is about people, about their role, about their skills. The second part is technology, that we are focusing on what technology is on place, what technology is missing for the target status of DevOps. And the last one is about processes. how we should or we have to change the current processes, or whether we can leverage these processes and use them to be supportive for DevOps. And this transformation workshop starts with detailed assessment with one-to-one interview with key stakeholders. It's helping a lot because these interviews are not influenced by other in comparison with workshop where are all stakeholders at the same time, at the same place, and they interact and they can maybe influence their mind. This is really, really valuable, and I can recommend to invest into that area. It's cost time of these stakeholders. It's cost the time also HPE consultants, but the return of this investment is really nice, and we can share with you as well some typical examples from the companies that follow that structure. And the slide is also describing that during this transformation workshop, we are able to deliver the light version of risk of investment that helps you a lot to sort of the things that you should focus on. This is the example as an output roadmap that was delivered by Journey to Value workshop, and you can see that it's divided in 4 swimming lines. The first line is describing the quick wins that we can implement or adopt really fast, maybe immediately, or maybe at the same time we deliver the workshop, we can start to help customers to implement these quick wins solution like test automation, or start to use the service virtualization tools that help them to avoid to wait till other services that you need for development will be available. Just take it as example, just to have any imaginary how the outputs can look like. Before we start with assessment, it's typical that it's good to understand to customer. Therefore, it is the proven techniques that we have to identify the right service to start with, because when we talk a few slides before about that some customers are not happy with results, with outcomes from DevOps adoption, this is the one of the scenarios that we see really often, that they start with services or maybe application or process that it's really time demanding. It's about more than 50 services or application that is within these concept services. The second part that we have to maybe focus is involve the key people, and to talk with the right stakeholders that are able to change things. And the last one, and it is maybe the most important from my personal experience, to focus on the main business needs, because sometimes companies are focusing on mainly on IT needs. It means that the DevOps sounds people that it's something that belongs to IT. But it's a big mistake that I would like to maybe more explain. When we talk about to identify right service to start with, you can see on the picture that there is a nice advice that you should focus on systems of innovation rather than on a system of records. What does it mean? It's better to start with a system that you can innovate as much faster as possible. For example, web application, something what is really frequently and often in interaction with customer, with external customer, then to try to implement DevOps on system of record, like some backends and the system that support system of innovation. Involve the key people. It's something what sounds really simple, but as I mentioned, it's many times the big mistake that you are talking when you try to evolve your processes in IT. That you are talking with wrong people. Therefore, when you have done with the selection of the right service, you can see on that graphical interpretation that, for example, you have selected the service, second service or service 2. You have to, because they are business users that manage these services or are responsible for these business units manager. This responsibility is critical that you have to talk with these guys and not with other guys, because they can influence you and they can maybe have the different goals, different style, how they would like to leverage or maybe support the DevOps. Therefore, selection of the right people, right manager or management people, it's a crucial for to be successful with DevOps adoption. And as I mentioned, it's a most frequent mistake on the customer side that we are talking just or only with IT staff, with IT management, and they just think that they know about the business needs. They do not precise sure whether they know and understand to business. Therefore, typically we start with talking with business, and we ask them or let them to ask these questions like, is my business profitable? Are my products doing well? And after we agreed on the major questions that came from the business, then we visit IT teams and let them to help to answer these questions by IT tools. As I mentioned, to link the business needs to technical people, to technical staff, it's really important to success of DevOps adoption. What we are doing, we analyze the current IT capability, because it's really often that these IT capability are on a right level, but maybe they do not seed or maybe feed right information to the right place to let business to see how IT is working and whether they are prospective or not. Then we discover operational bottlenecks. Whether we see any blocker, any bottleneck on the process that is responsible for operational of IT, and we help the customer to build a concrete roadmap. With mapping business to IT KPI can help Gartner metric pyramids. You can imagine these pyramids like building a house that you do not start with building a roof that it's crucial for the business operation. You have to start with some base, and on that base, like operational efficiency, service velocity, or organization efficiency, you can manage your business and your business performance. This slide I added into the presentation because it is also really good to keep in mind that the meaningful KPI can help you to measure and to speed up and to leverage DevOps adoption. When you measure the wrong KPI, wrong measures, you are not so efficient as much as you can. For example, on the left side, you can see that there is a typical example of the nice features that are tested within, for example, one project. And the results of these tests can be completely full tested with past results, but you can see that it's not matched or passed to the same question application features actually use. Are these features completely tested? From that question and from that picture, you can see that no, it's not completely tested and covered by tests. But when you measure wrong way, these two circles, you can get wrong or do wrong decision into the path with DevOps adoption. For set up any KPI to help you to leverage or implement the right DevOps approach, it's necessary, it's crucial to keep in mind that the metric provides you just the information that can be digested. And the KPI, it's the right tool that offer to you to insight and guide you into the future action. And for example, when I put the example like cost optimization can be one of the KPI that is needed from the business. You can see that the cost optimization depends on many aspects, many of changes that you have to support in your organization. First of all, you have to change some processes. You have to change the organization, maybe to establish some automation of testing, automation of deployment. And it has also the impact into the governance or organization. Therefore, everything's related to other aspects, like these triangle show us that when you change one of the process, it depends on organization, governance, and automation, and it's not separate that you create just or do some organization change, and you are able to measure how well these organization change impact your process of change. It's really good to understand that everything is connected and related to each other. Key performance indicators are showing if I am reaching my goals. It's something what is the common. It's a base of KPI for IT or maybe software. It's these four areas are crucial to be measured. The first of all is security. quality is measurement of how I am fast with software delivery. And the third one is the productivity, how efficient I am with delivery of change into the or with IT. And the last one is the quality. Each of these or all of these areas are really influenced to each other. Therefore, when you focus just on velocity, you can miss some troubles in the quality. Or the same, when you focus just on the productivity, you can let behind the security aspect of your software delivery. In this area, we can also to help with the implementation of Deming cycle, like the measure the KPI as it is. It means that how well is secure my application, my process, how well is I am with the productivity or maybe productivity of or efficiency with the change delivery of IT, and based on some little change or iterative change, I can measure the impact of this change and to verify whether this change leads to maybe the better productivity, better security, or in common in the main topic, whether I am further or maybe towards to DevOps adoption. KPI, why I am talking mostly about KPI today is because we found out during the discovery workshops, we found out that the crucial the problems are that the business is not talking as much as it's needed with IT. The business looks at these example situation like a shopping application like this, that there is the business service, buy from web or mobile. It's really simple, and the measurement from the business perspective is okay, how much I sell, how frequently I sell a new product. These are maybe KPI that observe or look at these numbers from the business perspective. But the situation from IT looks like this. It means that there is no one simple service that is responsible to deliver some goods to customer. There is a lot of interaction between third-party services. So, for example, inventory query, database query, or database activities. And IT typically focus on these parts that they know, because IT staff is really technical oriented, and they focus mostly on the KPI that help them to measure the speed of database, the reliability of some validation when I use some third-party services. But it is something what business do not understand to these KPIs. Therefore, this is the right place for our consultancy, our help to align business and IT KPI, and to put the correlation into these different point of view onto the same process. And you can see a few examples that I put into my presentation. For example, customer value, or maybe the customer, whether the customer is satisfied. It is something what business would like to measure and to get these information on maybe weekly basis. And what IT can measure as a key performance indicator is, for example, the alignment with the delivery of new products with requirements that they get from the business. And the metrics that we can use for these KPI can looks like net promoter score, deployment to staging success rate, deployment to production success rate, and number of incidents and defects. And these discussions are based on these graphical interpretation of KPI. We can help to customer to understand on what part of software delivery they should focus on in aspect or in the respect of the DevOps mechanism. You can also look at the same KPI change from different perspective. For example, to use the swim lines like business KPI, technical KPI, and solution that will be utilized to get these KPI. And you can see that the customer value we can feed by the technical KPI like customer feedback, proactive monitoring, software quality measurement, or security. And the same when you look at what kind of solution we are using to deliver these technical KPI measurements. It can be sentiment analysis that we can technically ensure that we will get from the real customer sentiment analysis, and it will impact the customer value or KPI. The next example that I would like to introduce today is time to market. It's something what we heard many times. It's maybe 60% of examples when we visit a customer that they ask us to help them with these indicator time to market. It means that the business would like to be on time with new products, with new services on market, and IT can be pressed or maybe motivate to measure the rate of the software change that will be delivered on time. And you can see at the maybe ground level of metrics that it can consist of rate of deployment, speed of testing, mean time to repair, that can help to reach the IT KPI that belongs to time to market business KPI. And when we split or maybe look at the same KPI chain by dividing into the business KPI, technical KPI, or actions, you can see that it's much more easy to lead a discussion with business, with technical directors or IT directors, what the metrics, what actions will help with DevOps adoption, and what influence what. Before I finish my speech, I would like to share with you just a few maybe the limitation that I see, or misunderstanding that I see when I visit a customer. And I would like to let you just to think about that. I would like that I will explain that many of these misunderstandings are some, maybe we can call it myths or fears that comes from business side. The first is the DevOps requires agile development to be as a first maybe implementation transformation project, and after agile I will be ready for DevOps. And I can answer to that DevOps is something what it's recommended to apply on agile development environment, but it doesn't mean that you can't or you are not able to implement DevOps into the traditional working environment. It's just the good to have it on place, but it's not mandatory. The second one, what I heard very often, I have a mainframe and very stable code. Therefore, DevOps is not applicable in my case. Okay, but what we can look at into the maybe history, that the mechanism to automate builds or promote new builds into next stage is something what is there since 1980s. Therefore, also it's applicable to mainframe, as we talk in maybe few first slide, that the DevOps is something that we can call automate everything what is possible. Therefore, why not to automate the task that belongs to mainframe? And DevOps is not compatible with ITIL or ITIL. The ITIL practices can go hand in hand with DevOps. In fact, I think that ITIL or ITIL was introduced to help you with the typical traditional software development, but there is a lot of things that are similar to DevOps, and it's compatible with the approach of DevOps. And the scalability of DevOps. It's much more easier when you adopt the small team or small the company onto the DevOps approach or onto the DevOps the manners. But there is no reason to avoid or maybe to stop you to implement DevOps on enterprise level. One of many examples is there that when we still today talking about DevOps, but there is also the possibility to deal with the agile style of development adoption. And there is many of platform like Scale Agile framework that helps you to adopt your style of software development in enterprise scale into the agile. Therefore, there is no reason to stop or to stop thinking about the DevOps because I'm on enterprise level. I think that it is the last one. The DevOps requires an organization change of my IT department, and this is also the fault that we found, that the DevOps is not about the changing tools, changing organization, changing something what is the base of your company. It's many times we realize that we did not change we change almost nothing, but we change the mindset or behavior of the people, and they utilize the tools in a different way. They utilize the continuous integration tools by different way. They mostly start to use the test automation instead of to use manual test. And it was really small shift in mindset of organization, and they reach the really nice results by these small shifts. And I promise that today I will not talk about tools, because I think that and I believe that DevOps approach and DevOps methodology, or maybe the asset that should be used, is not about tools. It's about the change style of how IT could be delivered or could be organized. But I would like, because I am a software engineer and pre-sales, I would like just to let you know that we introduced at the end of last year new tool that is called HPE Application Lifecycle Management Octane. And I believe that this is really new era of modern quality management that helps you to leverage and easier adopt the Agile and DevOps practice by using these tools. And this tool is good to know that it's available on SaaS, like SaaS platform. You don't need to install anything on your environment, and you can try just whether these two can play the right role within your company. And let me briefly summarize today's webinar. What I would like to keep in your mind is that for continuous innovation, for continuous delivery, for enabling DevOps, is the key thing is to motivate people to do things differently. The second, what I try to stress, that DevOps is more about people. Therefore, let the company to think about that it's not necessary to hire new people, that you are not familiar with DevOps. No, the other guy is there with that is familiar with DevOps. No, this is not good approach. It's just about to change mindset, to let people to think about the benefit of this change. The next, what I would like to mention in the summary slide, that let someone with experience to help you to go through this improvement or transition project, because these people that have the proven track with this implementation can help you to and avoid the situation that you will start to with enthusiasm some changes towards to DevOps, and you will be dissatisfied and people will be exhausted by the wrong ways. Therefore, let other people to help you to assess the situation, to find the right roadmap, to find the right quick wins, and leverage DevOps in your company. As I mentioned, everything is about measurement of KPI. Don't forget on that after the first day that you start to use the KPI and the DevOps, you can measure the success of the shift of the move towards to DevOps. And don't forget that I mentioned that it's not mostly about tools, but tools like automation, virtualization are the friends of DevOps. Therefore, it's don't be like a man on the right side that they do not want to let them help because they are clever and they know how to do things. Therefore, let these new tools for automation, virtualization to help you with DevOps. Okay, that's the last slide from my side. I would like to thank you for the attention, and in case there is any question, just let me know. Milan, can you help me with this, please?
Yes, thank you, Peter. Thanks very much for going through the material. Given we had our technical difficulties a little bit early on, we're running a little bit behind schedule. So for we have a few questions here, which I'll just describe what they are. We will have Peter answer them and reply to them. Obviously, he has a wealth of insight and experience helping customers with this, and I know his responses will be will be important for people to read. So we have questions about, for example, in-house versus outsourcing, how applicable it is. What about bimodal IT? How is it supported? What technologies are involved with this? Obviously, there's many different initiatives and KPIs, and also some information about how the workshops actually work. Peter gave us a little bit of information about that, and we'll have those answers documented and distributed as part of the final package. So it'll be available for download as well. So in the interest of time, please remember that we do have 2 more important ITOM, IT Operations Management sessions as part of this Vivid series, cloud management software and hybrid cloud management from HP Enterprise. So look out for those and definitely register for them. There's also one about supporting the idea economy in the world of finance. So this is also going to be of interest for customers that want to deliver high-quality experience to their end users and customers in the finance world. Finally, two items to note. Everyone, thank you very much for your attention today, this afternoon. Save the date, 16th to 19th of May in Dublin for the EMEA Software Customer Forum. It's going to be a great event, and it'll bring you topics and speakers like we've had today. So there's a link to go to the website, subscribe, and also to register for that event. And very important for us here at Vivid, 2 things that I would like to mention. First of all, we ask you to complete a short survey and opt in for more information about Vivid. And in fact, those questions are coming up here. So take 5 seconds to give us your feedback. And also, if you are in DevOps, in cloud, and as a practitioner, and you'd like to volunteer your insights and experience at a future Vivid webinar to share your experiences with customers, we'd certainly welcome you to do so. Please get in touch with your local Vivid chapter leader. I'm sure they'll be happy to speak with you and to give you a platform to share what you and your company have learned on your DevOps and Agile journeys. So with that, I want to again thank Peter, Terry, and team for setting up this event. Thank you to all for attending and for your questions. You'll have links to download the slides, to download the questions and the responses after this as well. Once again, thank you from all of us here at Vivid, and have a nice day.